scissors with you! You've got a booger on your finger! Again! No way! You are indeed worth the effort!
Consecutive normal punches.
Today is bargain day at the supermarket!
Today, we're talking about a hero so powerful that even the most dangerous enemies can't survive more than a few seconds against him. A man who can shake planets, destroy monsters, and save the entire world without breaking a sweat. But the surprising thing is that his biggest problem isn't any villain. It's his own boredom. This is the story of Saitama. A hero who achieved what most heroes spend their entire lives chasing. But once he finally reached the top, he realized that the real battle was still ahead of him. Saitama wasn't always a superhero. He was just an ordinary young man with no special powers and no grand destiny. His life was completely normal. But one day, everything changed. When he saved a child from a terrifying monster, he experienced something for the very first time. He felt like he had found a purpose. That moment inspired him to become a hero. And that's when his famous training began. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run. Every single day. For 3 straight years. No days off. No excuses. No shortcuts. As time passed, his body began to change. His hair fell out. But in exchange, he gained a level of power beyond imagination. He became so strong that he could defeat any enemy with a single punch. And that's where the real story of One Punch Man begins. Because when someone wins every fight, victory slowly starts to lose its meaning. Every day, a new monster appeared. Every day, a new disaster threatened humanity. But the outcome was always the same. One punch. And the fight was over. At first, it was exciting. It was fun. But over time, Saitama realized that all the thrill had disappeared from his life. Nothing scared him anymore. No challenge could excite him. No enemy could threaten him. He had become the strongest person in the world. Yet deep inside, he felt empty. And that's exactly what makes One Punch Man different from every other superhero story. This isn't just a story about strength. It's the story of a man who conquered everything, but still couldn't find happiness. But Saitama's story isn't just about his incredible strength. In this world, becoming a hero isn't as simple as putting on a costume and fighting monsters. Heroes are ranked through a strict system. C class, B class, A class, and at the very top, S class. The higher your rank, the greater your fame, respect, and recognition. At least, that's how it's supposed to work. When Saitama took the Hero Association exam, his physical test results were beyond anything anyone had ever seen. He shattered every record. He performed feats that seemed impossible. But his written exam scores were average at best. As a result, the strongest man on Earth was forced to begin his hero career at the very bottom. And that's where another layer of irony enters the story. The man saving the world was struggling to earn recognition. Meanwhile, many heroes who were far weaker than him were celebrated by the public. Saitama tried not to care. But he did. Because despite all his power, he was still human. He wanted people to understand his efforts. He wanted his achievements to matter. He wanted to be seen. Yet every time disaster struck, someone else ended up getting the credit. And Saitama disappeared back into the crowd. Around this time, he met Genos. A powerful cyborg driven by revenge and determination. The moment Genos witnessed Saitama's strength, he immediately decided to become his disciple. To Genos, Saitama wasn't just a hero. He was a mystery. A living impossibility that he desperately wanted to understand. For Saitama, however, the situation was a little awkward. He had never wanted a student. He had never imagined becoming someone's mentor. But over time, Genos became an important part of his life. For the first time in a long while, Saitama had someone who listened to him. Someone who spent time with him. Someone who made him feel a little less alone. But the world itself hadn't changed. Monsters kept appearing. Cities kept getting destroyed. And every battle ended the same way. One punch. And it was over. Then came the Deep Sea King. A monster so powerful that multiple heroes were unable to stop him. People were terrified. Hope was fading fast. It seemed like disaster was inevitable. But then Saitama arrived. Within seconds the fight was over. The Deep Sea King was defeated. Yet instead of taking all the credit for himself, Saitama did something unexpected. He convinced the crowd that the other heroes had already weakened the monster before he arrived. He willingly allowed his own reputation to suffer. Just so the other heroes could keep their dignity and earn the respect they deserved. And that's where Saitama's true greatness shines through. He's not great because he can defeat anyone. He's great because he never uses his power to make others look small. Time passed. And eventually, a new enemy arrived. Someone who might finally give Saitama the challenge he had been searching for. His name was Boros. A powerful alien warrior who had traveled across the galaxy looking for an equal. Someone strong enough to push him to his limits. When Boros and Saitama finally faced each other, it felt different. For the first time, there was genuine anticipation. Maybe this battle would be the one. Maybe this opponent could finally make Saitama feel something again. Boros unleashed everything he had. He pushed his body beyond its limits. He released enough energy to threaten the entire planet. The battle shook the battlefield with unimaginable force. But in the end, Saitama responded with a single serious punch. And everything was over. Boros was defeated. Yet before dying, he realized a painful truth. Saitama had never truly fought at full power. Not even once. Even this battle, the greatest fight of Boros's life, was just another ordinary day for Saitama. And that's what makes the moment so tragic. Because the opponent Saitama had been searching for all this time, the rival who could finally challenge him, still didn't exist. Wanting to help, they stop and investigate. Unfortunately, this simple act of kindness changes everything. Maddie believes someone inside the vehicle is still alive. But the moment Tyler opens the door, a shocking accident occurs and Lucas is killed. The couple eventually leaves the scene, believing the nightmare is over. They're wrong. The next morning, Maddie discovers 3 deep claw marks carved into the side of their van. The exact same marks she saw on the crashed vehicle. Even stranger, their food has started rotting for no apparent reason. At first, they dismiss it as coincidence. But as the days pass, increasingly disturbing events begin to occur. They see figures standing on empty roads. They hear strange sounds at night. And reality itself starts feeling unstable. The most frightening part isn't the creature's physical attacks. It's the way it manipulates the minds of its victims. As their journey continues, Maddie and Tyler meet other travelers who tell stories about an ancient forest connected to lonely highways and forgotten roads. Many people know it by one name: the Passenger. Determined to understand what's happening, the couple starts investigating the legend. Their search eventually leads them to stories about Saint Christopher, the patron saint of travelers. According to old legends, Saint Christopher once traveled alongside a mysterious companion who turned out to be something evil. Believing these stories may hold the key to survival, Maddie and Tyler begin carrying Saint Christopher medallions with them. For a short time, it seems to help. But the peace doesn't last. The Passenger soon returns stronger than ever. Now the entity isn't simply watching them. Then came the moment that changed everything. He came into contact with a mysterious force. A force many refer to simply as God. Suddenly, Garu's strength exploded to an entirely different level. He was no longer just a martial artist. He had become a cosmic threat. Radiation spread from his very presence. People couldn't even stand near him safely. His energy could affect entire worlds. His speed was beyond imagination. And for the first time, the world witnessed an enemy so terrifying that even S-class heroes were afraid. But then Saitama stepped forward. And the most dangerous battle in history was about to begin. Part 6, The Final Battle. When Saitama and Cosmic Garu finally faced each other, it felt as though the entire planet stopped breathing. Garu continuously copied new abilities. He began imitating Saitama's techniques. His speed kept increasing. His power kept growing. But there was one problem. Saitama was growing stronger too. And he was growing faster. Every second, both fighters became more powerful. But unlike Garu, Saitama had no visible limit. Their battle expanded beyond Earth and into outer space. Eventually, they found themselves fighting on Jupiter's moon, Io. Every collision between their punches unleashed explosions on a scale that seemed comparable to the power of stars. And then came the moment. Many fans consider the craziest scene in the entire One Punch Man series. Saitama sneezed, just one sneeze, and a massive portion of Jupiter was blown away. At that point, it wasn't simply power anymore. It was the end of the very definition of power. Garu finally understood. No matter how strong he became, he could never surpass Saitama. Because Saitama doesn't follow the rules. He exists beyond them. Part 7, The Real Meaning of Saitama. But the true story of One Punch Man doesn't end with battles. Because it was never really about fights in the first place. The question isn't how strong Saitama is. The question is why he still isn't happy. He has everything. No one can defeat him. No one can stop him. No one can challenge him. Yet he often feels empty inside. Why? Because human beings don't live only for victory. They live for purpose. They live for struggle. They live for relationships. And when all struggle disappears, a person is forced to ask a difficult question. What comes next? That is Saitama's real battle. And that's exactly why he remains such a memorable character. Final ending. Saitama doesn't teach us how to become the strongest. He teaches us that strength alone is never enough. A person can conquer the world and still feel lonely. A person can win every battle and still feel incomplete. And perhaps that's the greatest message of One Punch Man. The meaning of life is not found in winning. It's found in discovering reasons to keep moving forward. Even today, Saitama can defeat any enemy with a single punch. But his greatest battle is still ongoing. The battle against the emptiness within himself. And perhaps, that is the hardest battle of all. When people look at Saitama, they don't see a legend. They see a bald guy. An ordinary-looking man who walks around in simple clothes. Someone who gets excited about supermarket sales. Someone who gets annoyed when he loses a video game. Someone who often seems like he doesn't care about anything at all. But the truth is much deeper than that. Because Saitama isn't just the strongest man in the world. He's the answer to a question that almost everyone asks themselves at some point in life. If I get everything I've ever wanted, will I finally be happy? Saitama's story suggests that the answer might be no. Because happiness isn't found at the destination. It's found in the journey that takes us there. As long as Saitama was struggling, he was growing. As long as he had challenges to overcome, he had something to look forward to. But the moment he surpassed every limit, he realized that the real problem wasn't a lack of strength. It was a lack of purpose. And maybe that's why he continues to be a hero even today. Not for fame. Not for money. Not for recognition. But because helping others still reminds him what it means to be human. And that's what separates him from so many other heroes. Because Saitama's greatest strength isn't his punch. His greatest strength is that even after gaining unimaginable power, he never stopped being human. And perhaps, that's more impressive than any superpower. This is the story of Saitama. The story of a man who conquered every challenge the world could throw at him. yet is still trying to understand himself. Thank you for watching.